And I'm going, all right, you know, no combat for me. I'm going to, cool. Then about a day and a half before I left, about 15 of us got new orders. We were taken out of the technical schools and we were put into advanced individual training, AIT, as infantrymen in Fort Dix. And so...
Now, Fort Dix, New Jersey, is that north or south?
Fort Dix, New Jersey is...
Because when you think of New Jersey, you think of, you know, the bedroom community of New York City.
It's more like central.
Central, okay.
If you went to a airport from Fort Dix, you either went to Philadelphia or you went to Newark.
Okay.
All right, so it was kind of more central.
Right.
Right outside the town was Wrightstown, New Jersey. And again, we nicknamed that the piss tube of the world because that was a typical army town.
Yep.
Bars,
yep.
more bars, you know what I mean? Pawn shop, loan broker, you know, just everything that an army guy needs is, you know, right there.
Right.
Much as they could shaft you, you know, right there.
Right.
So anyway, when I hit AIT, I was no longer a company driver. Now I had to run with these guys, and I was dying.
Now
you're
in the real army,
yeah.
Because you're how many weeks behind?
Oh, 8 weeks behind.
Sure.
Yeah. So by the time AIT was over, I was back up into shape. But
Yep.
for the first month of AIT, I was dying. So then they came around and said, anybody looking for it want to go airborne? I said, geez, I always wanted to jump out of an airplane. So I signed up for airborne. Well, at the end of AIT, they came in and gave you your PT test for your airborne.
Sure.
And I passed the PT test for the airborne. And then they said, okay, this is it. You got one last chance to say no. You either say no now or you're in airborne. And during that time from when I said, oh, yeah, I kind of like to do that, till that moment, I had talked to some people.
You had a change of heart. Yes,
and I was told it was another 8 weeks of training that's 3 times harder than what I just went through.
Right.
And I said, no, to hell with that. I'm not going to do that.
Right. And why would any sane individual leave a perfectly good airplane?
Well, you know, the only thing that comes out of the sky is bird poop and fools. No, I did not. But if I had known I was going to be rappelling out of helicopters later on in my Army career, I might have gone for it. But at least that you got a parachute on. Though there was never any, I think, one parachute drop in Vietnam. I think maybe had
one large scale.
One large scale, yeah. Anyway, so I finished my AIT career there at Fort Dix, and beyond all imagination and the love of luck, I got orders to Germany.
You got orders to Crailsheim, Germany.
4th Armored Division.
4th Armored Division.
APCs, Armored Personnel Carriers. And because I had the driving experience with the, as company commander driver and stuff like that, I ended up a driver of an APC. But when they trained me, they also trained me how to drive an M60A1 battle tank. And that was fun. Learning to drive one of those was a lot of fun. And so was the APCs. But, you know, fully tracked vehicles, they're a lot of fun to drive.
So how much training does it actually take to learn how to drive a tank?
It was 4 weeks.
4 weeks before
4
they
weeks.
give you the keys and say take it for a spin?
Well, we weren't even a tank unit. We were there in case a tank unit got hit and lost some drivers. We were cross-trained, so you know we could drive the tanks because it was an armored unit.
Right.
And I think all the time I was there, after I got trained, I drove an M60A1 once.
My question is that there's Army training that'll take you so many weeks to learn how to drive a tank. But in reality, could you learn to drive a tank in under an hour?
Basically.
You could get it?
You could get it rolling, and you could turn it, and you could,
You could get yourself in a lot of deep trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. But to do it right, you know, the whole thing they were talking about was cantilevering, you know, on an angle this way, how much you could take this way, what you can go over, what you can't go over, what's going to tangle the treads, what's going to... So those are the things that...
Don't run over the baby stroller.
Yeah, exactly. I got into my Army unit there, and what was great about Germany was whenever we went anywhere, to training areas and stuff, we went by train. We drove the tracks to the train depot, drove them right up onto the flatbeds, got out of the tracks, got into the train, you know, the passenger compartment,
and toured Europe.
And went around, went around Germany.
Yeah.
Well, only once did we go out of Europe for training. That was into Greece. But the thing was, it was that Orient Express type trains with the little compartments. You know what I mean?
And
like you see in a Sherlock Holmes movie. Yeah, exactly. And they were great. They're unbelievable. Top things drop down so you could sleep 4 people, and you know, it's a great way to travel out there. You know, to them trains were. To us, it was fast, but to them, trains were an artwork. They were really great. And they were steamers. Everything was steamers.
Really?
We weren't running around in diesel, because this was 68. Everywhere we were going, because they weren't the top-of-the-line diesels that they were using for passenger service, they were just taking us Army guys around, so we were getting the old steamers, and it was fun, you know? That's where I got half of my interest in trains, was because we're running around in these steamers.
Wow.
But, so I decided while I was in Germany, that I'm out of high school, I haven't gone to college, maybe I'll re-enlist for a school. And I decided that, you know, photography sounds like a good idea. Combat photography sounds even like a better idea. So I re-enlisted for another 4 years. Anyway, they signed me up, I get in it, I got sworn in. Well, actually it was for another 2 years, because I was already had 2 to do. Anyway, they signed me up, and about a month after I was sworn in and, you know, all ready to go, I got told that all 3 choices of schools that I had taken were temporarily closed, and I had a choice of being a cook or an infantryman for the next 4 years.
And the 3 schools you chose were?
Combat photography, aerial photography, and administrative photography. So they were, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, why are they individual? You know, could you learn all 3? Well, aerial I could see being individually, but combat and administrative. Anyway, so I'm all ticked off now. So I call home, talk to my parents, tell them the story, because there was a place in town in Krailsheim you could go in and, you know, individual phone booths and make overseas calls. And they said, well, let us talk to a lawyer. So that my parents called a lawyer, and my lawyer said, well, you know, threaten them with breach of contract. See what they do, because you did sign a contract. So my parents called me back. Next time I called my parents, they told me the story. So I went in and I started raising all kinds of holy hell. You know, I signed up for these schools. You know, if I can't have the schools, you should be throwing me other choices other than being a cook or a combat or an infantryman for the next, you know, 3.5 years.
Right.
You know, and so I'm starting to raise holy hell, and the next thing I know, I get orders for Vietnam. And so I try to fight that through the legal system, but by the time anything happens, I'm on my way to Vietnam.
So was it just coincidence, or was it?
I was told it was coincidence.
Mere coincidence.
Mere coincidence.
Anybody else on base in Germany get to go to Vietnam?
Only if you volunteered.
Really?
No, I didn't know anybody else. Maybe later on they were doing it, but the only other people I knew in Germany that went to Vietnam were the ones that volunteered.
Volunteered. Because, I mean, if you're in the beautiful surroundings of Germany, why would you volunteer to go to Vietnam?
I mean, Germany was a blast.
I'm sure.
Germany was great. We went to Oktoberfest in Munich, went down to Austria, we went into Garmisch, we went up to Hamburg and Nuremberg, and from there I got over to Amsterdam. Oh, great town, Amsterdam. Anyway, I can't talk about what I did there. Anyway, so I mean, it was a good time. We went to Greece in a NATO maneuver. And we literally were basically told that we're going to send you up into northern Greece. We're going to let you loose around these towns. And the whole idea is to go into the towns and show your might and tell everybody how well protected they are because NATO's around protecting them. So it's basically go into a town and party and go to the next town and party. You know, I mean, we did very little actual training. It was just drive the vehicles into the next town. Hi, everybody, we're here. We're protecting you. And
NATO is here to protect you. BYOB.
Yeah, exactly.